Hi, this is Tiffany with Buchwalter Greenhouse, and today we're going to be making a resurrection garden. Now this is a fun type of miniature garden you can make either by yourself or with young ones to help teach them the story of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So to start off, here's a few supplies. You're going to need a watering can with some water, or just in a cup is fine, some string or twine, some wire, pruning shears or some heavy-duty scissors, dried moss, a little terracotta pot, a larger rock that you can use that's about the same size as your pot for the tomb door, an 8-inch saucer or larger, or you could use a pot as well, some sticks, a couple plants, and a bin if you'd like to put your potting soil in to help keep it contained. So to start off, we're going to moisten our potting soil. I like to get it a little damp to start off, so that way it's easier to shape and mold. It's a little more like working with clay sand in that respect. So I just put some water in. I'm just going to toss it around to get it evenly damp. You want it to have a consistency where you can squeeze it with your hand and it sticks together. So I should probably add a little bit more. Give it a little mix around so it's ready to go. We like to use Pro Mix potting soil here at the greenhouse, but as long as it's potting soil, usually about any type of mix will be fine. So this is ready to go. What I'm going to do now is scoop it out and make a hill at the back of my pot, and that is going to be the mound which the tomb is located. And then the front of it is going to be level from about a third to a halfway forward. And after you make your hill, and it's not going to stay this way perfectly throughout the whole project, you're gonna find you're doing a lot of reshaping as you go, and that's fine. So I got the front part packed down, the rest is relatively loose but shaped into a mound. Then go ahead and take your terracotta pot and insert it. I like to do it to one side because with how much room I have, I'm going to put a plant on the other side. If you're doing a larger miniature resurrection garden, you could put the tomb door in the middle and a plant on both sides. It's a lot of different ways you can do it. So I have it pressed in there, and the bottom of the terracotta pot is level with the top of the soil coming towards the front. So it has like an entrance to the tomb. And now we're ready to plant. So we're using house plants today. You can use outdoor plants if you like, just make sure they're cold. They can take the colder temperatures if it's early spring. This one is a piggy black plant. And then to take it out of the pot, I like to squeeze the pot to help remove it without damaging any of the roots or pulling the plant away from the base of the roots. Since he's kind of trailing down, I'm going to put him at the top, and I'm just going to make a well with my fingers. And I don't want to completely cover that door. Let's make him go this way. And then to cover the roots, because the roots are exposed on the top, I'm going to take a little more of my potting soil and actually form it right over top of the roots. So the roots are completely covered now. And this little variegated Tradescantia I'm going to put in the front. Don't need quite that much soil, so I'm going to work some of it off the roots. He also trails, so I think I'd like to have him off to the side here so he can grow out towards the front. So again, making a well with my fingers. And if you want, you can position your pot sideways like I did with this one up here and have it grow underneath the soil in that direction. The roots will find where they need to go, as long as you have them covered to start off. Then I have a Rex begonia here. And then I'm going to make a little well with my fingers up at the top, put him in there. I'm kind of positioning all my plants to go forward because I want it to be viewed from the front. It's not going to have the same effect if I looking down on it if I have them all pointed upward. So keep that in mind too. You might want to take a step back and look and see what it looks like according to where you'll normally view it. Okay, so I have my potting soil formed all around the plants. I'm going to swipe this out of the way. Now our next step is going to be to cover the potting soil with our dried moss. Now you could use live moss if you'd like, but find the sheet moss is really nice because it's like a sheet and you can tear it apart, you can cut it, and the bigger the pieces you use, the better. There's less chances for the soil to wash out. So I'm going to take this, and I might have to lift up some leaves, and I'm going to wrap it around the whole soil formation. When I get to the lip of the pot, I like to tuck it in down underneath, kind of like you're tucking your shirt into your pants. This just gives it a cleaner look and helps direct the water back into your pot rather than away from it. So the pieces of wire, if you fold them into like a bobby pin shape, this is great for holding your moss in place. So I'm just going to occasionally poke that through. All over. And now I'm going to do the next piece. I'm going to bring it right up to the edge of where that is. And again, if I need to tear it, I can. Sometimes I get too much at the base, but this is pretty good, pretty close actually. You can kind of blend it with your fingers too. So I'm just tucking it in. And then my pins to hold it in place. Here I'm going to need to tear it a bit. Again, lift up your plants as you go around. Okay, I think I got it all in place. Let me add a couple more pins just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And now when we water, the moss should keep the soil in place and keep the roots in place as well. Okay, next step, we're just gonna go back again and pack down the soil in the front. Make sure we can see our little tomb door there. Take your tombstone and position it to one side or the other. I think I'll do it right here. I like to push mine down into the soil a bit to help hold it in place. And take your rocks. Any kind of gravel will work, but I find the smaller the better. Sprinkle that across the front. If you want a sense of added depth, you can even have it kind of go into the pot so it looks like you can walk inside. Okay, and then lastly we have the crosses. So these, again, if you go on a nature walk with your kids, you can find a lot of these elements that you need to use, and it's fun to look for them. The twigs, I've already done a couple of them, so I'll show you real quick how to make those. If you find some branches or cut some branches off a tree, if you want, you can have the center cross be a little bit thicker of a branch, and then the two that go on either side, make them a little shorter and a little, using branches that are a little bit skinnier. I like to trim them down after I use my twine. Just a rough guesstimate about how much twine you need to use. And then if you have a hard time pinching this together, you can do a quick little tie around the main part of the cross. Leave some extra width at the end. That's probably not enough. There you go. Because we're going to tie that off after we attach the cross piece. So then I'm just going to go diagonally, kind of back and forth, and then around, and go diagonally again till it's secure, and then tie it off with that extra string we had at the back. Cut off our excess. Okay, and then to help shape it, just bring it to size. There we go. So I have them ready to place, and maybe start with the center one. You're gonna poke it right down through the moss. You might have to twist it as you go. If it doesn't want to get in between there, use a little smaller piece to punch it through. There we go. And there we go. Give it one last little form there. And we're all done. Now to take care of your resurrection garden, to start off, I would go ahead and give it a little bit of water. If you use a watering can, it helps to have one with a small spout, or like a little measuring cup with a spout on it. It works well too. But you just want to do it a little bit at a time, focusing where the plants are. You don't have to water this particular moss because it's not live, it's already dried. It's just painted green, so it gives that look of grass, but you don't have to tell anybody that. They can just think you're awesome. And then for weekly care, you're probably going to need to water this again once or twice a week. The best way to check that is to put your finger underneath the moss and touch the soil. If it feels like you're touching a damp sponge, you're good. You can hold off and check it again in another 4 days or so.